Welcome back, everybody. I'm Vince DelMonte. Today we're going to talk about a really crazy and weird mindset that I had when I had to overcome the fear of failure in my life. And I'm going to relate this to a personal story of mine back in 2005 when I had an interest and a desire to start a second stream of income and to start an online fitness business while I was a personal training. I'll touch on that story in a second, but let me just set up the question here so you guys know where we're going. So Quinn asked me, what's the mindset to overcome the fear of failure and just doing what you want to do instead of letting your fear of judgment hold you back? So let me explain that weird mindset that I have. At least I think some people would think it's weird. I looked at the fear of failure as a positive. I looked at it as a good thing. Let me explain. So back in 2005, there were about a dozen different online muscle building products being sold on the internet. And when I sought out a mentor, I asked him, which niche should we get into? I had a couple ideas, but that's where my credibility was. That's where my passion was. And he actually told me there's a high chance of failure if you try and create another muscle building program because there's already 10 sites out there that have got the same thing that you want to create. And I actually looked at that as a positive. I looked at the competition as a positive. I looked at being able to catch up to my competition and do better than them as a positive. I looked at the fear of failure as a positive because if I was able to catch up to these guys and surpass them and then gap them, then other people who were potential competition, they would look at that and say, you know what, forget it. I can never catch up to what he's done, although this is what I want to do. And they're going to let their fear get the best of them. Because I know that at the time, there's probably a lot of guys envisioning doing what I wanted to do. And I thought to myself, well, if I can do it better, if I can handle the fear of failure, if I can take on the financial risk, if I can take on the time, the extra time, I was working 40 hours a week at my job plus 20 hours on the side after I came home from work to get this thing started way back when without I had no extra income to do it, so I was doing it on a bootstrap budget. And I realized other guys would be in the same boat as me and they'd have to overcome these same obstacles. And I looked at that fear of, maybe taking all these steps and failing as a positive because other people would have to take them too. So I thought to myself, well, you know what? What's the worst thing that can happen? I love my job at the gym. I love what I do. So the worst thing that could happen is that I end up working at the gym for the rest of my life, which is not a bad thing. I love what I did. And I thought, let's go for it. So that's what I did. I recognized my fear of failure and I recognized it as a good thing because I realized that everybody else is going to fail too. We're all going to fail. It's how we respond to that failure. I always think back to my running days where, everybody in the race is hurting. You think you're the only one hurting? You're not special. I'm not special either. We're all hurting. We're all going to fail. So recognizing that, I realized that it would just come down to me being able to respond from that failure and move forward. And that's where I got inspiration from. That's where I rose up because I got fired up realizing that if I could respond better to failure than everybody else, I could move forward. You know what I'm saying? I could get ahead. I could make something of myself. I could gap the competition, so to speak. I could get to a place where people would be like, I could cross that bridge and then they'd still be on the other side looking over being like, man, there's too much time down that road. It's too much money down that road. Too much risk. I don't think I can go down that road. There's too much potential criticism. I don't know. Down that road, I don't know about that. It looks too scary. There's a lot of sacrifice down that road. And I realized that if I could overcome those fears going down that road, that I would end up in a place that most people would be afraid to go after. And I could get to where I wanted and I could create something there. I would experience the results I had. So if I look around at all the successful people that I know, they've taken that road because they understand this. They look at fear as a positive thing because they realize that it's just going to come back to them on how they respond. Everyone experiences failure. Nobody ever gets to where they want to go without failure. That's just a matter of fact. It's just a question of when you fall and how hard you fall, and the question is how you're going to respond. Are you going to get back up and are you going to keep pressing on, okay? So just accept failure as something that's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. And you know, something else I'll just quickly throw in there, but I always looked at failure as, you know, just one more thing in discovering one more thing that doesn't work, you know, discovering one more thing that doesn't work. And I always try and look at things from a positive. So it's always just shifting your perspective, looking at failure as a positive and seeing that ultimately it's going to get you to where you want to go, and keeping your eyes on the prize and just keep pressing forward, okay? So that's all I want to say about that. I hope you guys found that helpful. I hope you start looking at fear of failure as a positive thing and look at that as a driving force, and that's it's just a necessary step to get you to where you ultimately want to go, and it's a step most people won't take, which is going to let you get you somewhere that other people will never experience, and then you can be proud when you get there, and you can get all the rewards and benefits that overcoming of fear achieves for you. Okay guys, over and out. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.